talk about forgotten structures in JavaScript. Why forgotten? Well, because it's this kind of, structures that even though they are still part of the standard, in reality, we are not using them that much, right? But they are still valid, absolutely valid. And that's why I like to review them, because I feel a bit weird if you become very successful JavaScript developers by understanding all the magic of new tricks and stuff like that, but you've never touched things like while, do while, switch, for loops, all these things, right? So let's just today review on the next 29 minutes what kind of structures you should know at least they exist, and why not? Maybe in some scenarios they may be useful. Why not? So first of all, I would like to talk about switch. So out of this list, I believe switch is the least forgotten one. In other words, it's quite used today. It's not such a weird thing to use switch today. Let's see how it looks like. I'm not going to explain all the details about switch, because as you already know, the current beginner board challenge talks about switch, right? So we'll cover all the different aspects of switch this Friday. But for the time being, let's just display some examples. So let's create a function. So the function is how good the score is. So the idea here is to invoke that function with a number between 0 and 3, for instance, right? Depending on the number we pass here. So 0 will be horrible, 1 will be poor or average, 2 will be nice, and 3 will be excellent, something like that, right? We can obviously use it in an if-else, right? So we can do if score equals 0, return horrible, else if score equals 1, return decent, else if score equals 2, return nice, else return excellent, right? Or we can do else if score equals 3, excellent, else, let's have a default scenario, return no idea, right? That works, right? Classic nested if else. So if we pass number 3, returns excellent, number 2, nice. Yeah, number 1, decent, and number 0, horrible, right? So that will be the basic way of creating this kind of if-else structure. But we can do the same thing using switch. So let's transform this nested if-else structure into switch. So with switch, we can do that. Switch condition, and then we can explain several cases. For example, case 0, and please note when you type the case, you need a colon, return horrible. Then case 1, return decent. Case 2, return nice. And finally, case 3, return excellent. And we can even have a default case. Default, return no idea. So we can do that, right? So now if we invoke the function again, you see it returns horrible, because that scenario is captured, right? So for these kind of cases, where in reality we have a variable, and the variable may have several values, and depending on the value we want to do something or something else, to me, switch is a good utility, it's a good structure, because you can see from a readability point of view, I hope you all agree that this is more readable than a nested if, else, if, else, if, else, if, else, right? In here, you can see the different states, case 0, case 1, case 2, and even the default one as well, right? So that's the main point of using switch. There's some things you should know about switch, like for example, you can use break. But as I said before, I'll leave that for Friday. We'll explain what break means and how to deal with it, and what's the impact of using or not using break within switch. So, any question about this structure? No? Remember, switch, condition in parentheses, then curly brackets. If you don't put the curly brackets, it will fail. You see? Wrong. And then case, and then the condition you want to evaluate. So then, if the condition is met, that code will be executed. We don't need curly braces here, by the way. So if we put curly braces here, let's have a look. Still works. You can put them if you want, right? But they are optional. So whatever you think is better. So for example, if I add a console log here, console.log will return horrible. Now we should get both things on the console. You see? Will return horrible, and then the message. Yeah? Yeah, Jeff?
Are you going to mention grouping?
Grouping?
Yeah.
What do you mean, group?
Cases in switch, you can group them, which I didn't know about.
You can group.
Yeah, so you can put, like, for example, case 1,
Yeah?
colon, and immediately underneath it, case 2, colon, and then have the colon.
Like that?
No, well, when I saw it, it was separate lines.
Ah, I see what you mean. Yes. Yes. Yes, so Jeff is right, but again, I would like to discuss that on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's right. So technically speaking, we can do that. You see? So now, if the score is 1 or 2, it returns the same thing. Because there is no break statement, right, as we'll explain on Friday. Anything else about switch? Your component, right? But technically speaking, you can have as many cases as you want. Anything else? No? Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's all the stuff because it has been there for a while. The thing is, even today, in my opinion, there is, not in my opinion, I mean, we don't have any alternative to switch. So with looping, yeah, we got a bunch of new methods for each map that have replaced, at least partially, some of the original looping structures in JavaScript. But in regards to switch, there is nothing that can easily replace it. We got if else, that has been there from the first day. Now we got the ternary operator as well, that may be okay for very simplistic cases when we have just, for example, that. So I believe that the scenario will be probably, I will probably replace that with a ternary operator, right? So we can do return score equal 0, then you can put it in one line if you want, right? So then horrible, else, no idea. Can you see the relationship between this ternary operator and that switch structure? They're the same, right? Right. So for this case, probably the ternary operator works better. But as soon as the complexity of your expression increases, then switch starts becoming a better idea, because it's very easy to inspect the different scenarios out of this condition.
So it seems much clearer than this else. Which came from?
You think it's clear with if else?
No, clearer than. This is clearer.
Yeah, that's clear. Yeah. Switch is clearer, but again, it depends on the complexity. So the more complex your logic is, the better switch works. If you have a simple if else, two conditions, to me, if else works better than switch. And ternary operator works even better than if else.
Simple.
For simple, yes.
Most simple.
Yep. But if you have fewer scenarios, 5, 6, to me switch is clearly better, right, from readability point of view. Anything else about switch?
What will it return if you don't have any default?
What will return if you don't have any default? Like that. Yep. Right. So if we put 0, that will return horrible, right? What happens if we put 1? What will the function return? Horrible. Wrong. What nothing means? That's correct, Michael. Undefined. Why? Because in reality, as this line is never ever executed, the function returns nothing, as Michael suggested. Nothing in JavaScript means undefined. Cool. Nice one. Anything else? Switch? No? Cool. Let's have a look to the next structure, which is probably the one that will be very familiar to you, which is for loops, right? So for loops, that now they are kind of trendy again, thanks to the iterable and enumerable variables. You remember for in, for of, all these things. But before that, the classic way to use for was something like that. For var I equals 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, console.log hello, comma, I, right? So if we invoke the function, do stuff, let's see what happened, right? It displays hello 10 times, right? That's the classic for loop in JavaScript. So how the for loop works, it receives 3 expressions. The first one, you can initialize a variable, right? So you want to have a variable I with value 0. On the second expression, you establish the condition. While I is less than 10, because at the moment it's 0, so that's clearly truthy, right? Then do that. And the last statement, or the last expression of the for loop, is what happened after each iteration, right? So in that particular case, we said, hey, after the first iteration, increase the value of I, right? Initialization, condition, and what do we do next? So what happens, for example, if we put plus plus I? What will be the first hello message? Will be 0 or 1 or something else? That's correct. No, that's not correct, actually. Oh. Right, that's not correct. So why this is not correct? Sorry, because this is evaluated after each iteration, right? So that means if we have a breakpoint on line number 4, you see I is still 0, right? That's why after completing the first iteration, then we'll be evaluating that expression. So I will be 1, 2, 3, and so on, right? That's a classic for loop. Any question? Is there a way to stop a for loop? So for example, let's do something here. So let's create a variable, fruits, apple, banana, orange. So then I would like to find fruits. So I'm going to pass a fruit name, banana. So then I want to do, for I equals 0, I is less than what?
4.
Fruits of length, correct, which is 3, right? And then we can do I++. Again, with modern JavaScript, we'll probably use find, right, to do the same thing. But hey, let's talk about the classics. So then I'll do if fruits, how do we check it now, guys, if I got that fruit name in the list? So I want to return, so I want to save a variable here, or do a console log. Let's display a console log. If I have the fruit, let's display a console log. I found it. How will you do that? How would you do that? If what?
If fruits, square brackets, I equals, whatever the one.
Fruit name. You can say found it on index I, right? So if everything is correct, that should return found on index 1. Oh, fruit is not defined. Fruits.length, right? Yeah, my fault. You see? Found it on index number 1. But what happened if we got a million fruit names? Is there a way to stop the loop? In other words, can you tell me, okay, let's do something.
Break.
Yes, I'll go there in a minute.
Sorry, one question before you go there.
Yeah.
If you want to add like exclamation mark in the end of the sentence, how would you
Exclamation mark here in the console log.
No, on found it on index.
Yeah.
Then index number and then exclamation mark. How would you isolate it?
And then exclamation mark. So you can use a template literals, right?
Okay.
You can do that. Right? You can do that. Oh, breakpoints. Oh, spoiling. Spoiler alert. You see? Found on index 1, right? Cool. Let's talk about breakpoints. Kind of. So can you tell me, can anyone tell me the execution order? Yeah. So Bala 11. Yeah. Ooh. Yep. 4, 4, 6, 4. Right. Anyone else?
With Bala.
So, right. What's changing? What do you mean? So are you with Bala, Natasha, Michael?
Yes.
No, I think you moved.
I move. What I move? Oh, no, that's too late. No one can change. No. Yeah. You cannot change. No one can change, right? Hopefully that forces you to think a bit before giving an answer. Cool. Anyone else? No one else means you all agree. You will agree with who, right? Because they give two different answers. So Jeff. So Daniel. And who else? Itamar. Aisel.
Megan has some
Megan. No. Megan. 11, 3, 4, 6. 2 points for Megan. Right? So everyone is wrong. You are all wrong, apart from Megan. Right. 11, 3, 4, 6. Done. Megan is right. I still don't really understand, because it's not the first time it happens, why you got the feeling that line number 4 will run several times. That's not true. Line number 4 is where we set up the loop. We set it, how many times we set it up? Once, right? Then, of course, the content, will run maybe several times. But the loop only runs once. So Megan is right. 11, 3. Oh, I got to line number 9. Yep. I cannot add a breakpoint on line number 5, which is completely ridiculous, right? Because of course I can add a breakpoint here. Can I put break? Will it work? I can't. Will it stop there? Let me have a look. I don't know. No? Oh, weird. Well, anyway. So do you know how many times, even though I cannot add a breakpoint, oh, yes, now it works. That's weird. Okay, let me change the question. How many times breakpoint will stop at line number 5? 3. That's correct. Oh, come on. This is ridiculous, guys. It's getting worse. But yes, you're right. It will stop 3 times here, right? Because the array has 3 elements. But as we mentioned before, what happened if we got 1,000,000 elements? And we found the banana on the second one. Do we need to loop until the end of the array? Is there a way to stop the array as soon as we found the element? There is a keyword in JavaScript. What? Return. Well, with return, that's correct. With return, that's correct. But with return, we'll finish the function. What if we want to add something else at the bottom, right? With return, we cannot do anything because the function will stop here. Someone mentioned, I think it was Richard, break. And that's correct. With break, it will stop the loop, but then we can continue doing more stuff at the bottom. Right? Look at the difference. So if I put return, let's see what happened. Right, now it's not running. Why it's not running? Log. Oh, weird. Let me try again. Well, anyway, it's there, right? Found it on index 1 and then done. If we put the return, which is a more elegant way to stop a loop, you see? It does the trick. It will stop. Not sure if I can add a breakpoint there. Now it works, right? You see 5 once, index 1, but it should never stop again. You see? After 2 iterations, because we got the break, it will stop the loop, right? That's why break is very convenient. And actually, that's a good reason to still use for loops, classic for loops. We have fine-grained control on how many times the loop will run, right? Break. Any question here? Not really. No, we can use it with all the type of strategy with switch, for example, with while, with all these things, right?
But with filter, you'd have the control as well, wouldn't you? Because it would exit after.
Not with filter. Because filter by. Does it make sense, Richard?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
So filter, the callback function, will run as many times as elements do we have on the array. We cannot stop it. With find will stop as soon as the condition is matched.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking
Ah,
about.
find.
Find.
Okay, yeah, definitely. As soon as the condition is met, find will stop. So you can achieve the same behavior. But it's something automatic. With the for loop, you can put the break statement anywhere. What happens if we, for example, want to find can have a counter? If we got 2 bananas, then break. So we have much better control in our journey, right? So that's why talking about performance, classic for loop is something we should definitely consider.
Ricardo, can I ask one?
Yep.
Yeah, just in the setup of the for loop, the arguments which it takes, I equals 0,
Yep.
I plus plus. Do those formats ever change? Like I minus, or that sounds stupid, but is that always the same format?
That's the classic format. You initialize a variable, then you set the condition, and then you decide what to do after each iteration of the journey. You can make it more complicated, right? This is an expression, right? So you can do fruital length and I don't know, is less than
1 every time. So like for every second.
Correct.
element.
Of course, we can do that, right? Oh, sorry, we can do I equals I plus 2. So if we do that, what will this return, guys? Orange. So Jav said I will return orange. Any other opinion? Kiwi.
When it say the fruit is apple, the fruit is orange, done.
Yes, Jonan is right. Look. Jonan is right. Why? Because the first index is 0, so fruit 0 will display the apple. But then instead of increasing the counter into 1, we increase it in 2. So next element will be orange, right? So index equals 2. And after index equals 2, index will be 4. Is 4 less than 3? No. Because 4 is not less than 3, it will abort, it will stop, the loop. So it won't check for any other value. Does it make sense? Yep.
In the for loop of those 3 things, the initializer, the condition,
Yep.
and the iteration,
Yep.
which of them is mandatory?
Which of them is mandatory? You need to put something. I mean, I'm not that familiar with that because I haven't used that for ages, I believe. But
I think you'll find none of them.
probably not. Well, you need the condition, definitely, right? Because you need to tell when do you want to stop. But you can even delete the last one.
No, you can delete the middle one.
The middle one. But what happens if you delete the middle one? How many times the loop will run? How do we know when to stop it? What if we, well, unless there is a break, correct? So we can do if, yeah, again, I'm not very familiar with that, but I think if we do if I equals free break, but then we need to do I plus plus, correct? Something like that. Will this work? Yes, it does work. It does work. Yeah? I don't know. Yeah, it looks like you need the semicolons. At least one, I guess. Yes, that's a good point. No, 2. You need 2. Not even 2. Wait a minute. No. We may work with 1. No, it looks like you need 2 semicolons. That means you need the structure. You see, with 2 semicolons it works. But anyway, to me that's something weird, very weird, very weird. Right? We are not reusing the capabilities of for. We are just making something up manually, right? Cool. Anything else? Not in this particular case. We can use bar, we can use let. Someone will be presenting the differences between bar, let, and const. Is that Rafa? Yes. Correct. Yeah, so yeah, that will explain the differences. But in this particular case, yeah, it doesn't matter. Anything else? No? So because we ran out of time, we're going to leave it here. And if possible, I would like to have another session to talk about while and do while, which is something absolutely exotic in JavaScript. Cool. Thank you very much, guys.
Don't forget to change the
Cheers.